This is Jessie and Nichols, George, and Orly and I are hanging out today. We're at the Muir Beach area in California, which is just across the San Francisco Bridge. And man, it's just been an incredible time where we had an incredible evening yesterday, meeting some people and getting to know people. And today we're going to be taking a hike along this area and doing some trails here. This is the kickoff of the 2015 Adventures of Integration Day. So I'm really excited about this and really excited about what we're bringing in and what we're offering this year and all the different places and venues that we're going to be at. So hopefully you can come and join us in one of these days along the way, and that's going to be very, very exciting. But today, as you know, we always do a healing focus in our Adventures of Integrations days and weekends. And this is our full weekend. So the first day of our weekend is here. And there's some great coastlands here, and we're going to be going along the coastal terrain here. And in that process, the coho salmon is an endangered species. So we're going to be sending some healing energy for the coho salmon, and then we're also going to do some healing for the coastal waters in general. So it's going to be an amazing journey, and this is going to be a long, full day out, first day, and if you can tell, my enthusiasm is so up there. I'm just looking forward to spending the day in nature, and we have the energy of Mount Tamalpais close by, and we have a Zen Buddhist center very close by, the Green Gulch Farm, and so lots of great, really exciting energy. And this puts us right on top of the Muir Woods, which is just incredible, beautiful area. So we'll catch up with you in little spots along the way, and look forward to connecting with you. Hey everyone, so Orly and I have started up our trail, and Orly is right down here somewhere. I don't know if I can get her in the frame here. Maybe we can get her in. There she is, poking her head in. And anyways, we just got one of our first signs along the trail, which was a rabbit. And that's really exciting, being that it's the spring equinox time frame. It's this weekend. We just reached into that yesterday with a new moon and solar eclipse. And to get the sign of a rabbit, of course, has great fertility aspects to it and great levels of abundance and just gentleness and harmony and a zest and an energy and a spring in its step, as well as being spring in the season. And what's really fun about this parallel right now is because this whole region, and I'm going to cut a panorama around here for you. Yeah, there's some things on the hillsides there. But this region actually is a region that was inhabited by the Miwok Indians and native cultures, and they were a culture that is very exciting because they work a lot with the natural land, with the seasons. That's how they survived, was they paid attention to the land, and they paid attention to what was happening in the seasons and what the land was doing and the shifts and the changes that it was making. And when we do this, it's so powerful. It guides us exactly to what we need to do for our bodies, for our minds, for our emotions, and the whole works in all of that. So wonderful to be on this land that was inhabited by them. And to be able to honor that in this turning and tides of the seasons. We'll catch up with you a little bit later. So here we are a little bit further up. We've gained quite a bit in elevation, as we're not quite to the top of the hill, but definitely atop a bluff area. And you can see the cove right back here behind us. And before that, we actually ran into a symbol that is related to transformation and change, which was really exciting to have right after the bunny rabbit, because after that it tells us that we are shifting and changing into this abundant state. And what's interesting for those that have been following me along the way is, you know, that I kind of got spent working on emotions for a couple of months. So to have a shift in our plans on what trail we're doing today, and to end up here where we're at this cove at Muir Beach area, And coves are wonderful. They're very internal, they're very nurturing, they're very caring. So they give us the symbol of both luck and nurturing what brings in our so-called luck, our so-called fortune, our blessings in life. And again, to have this right on top of these new beginnings and the seeds that we're planting here, and our intent to help heal this region, bring back some more of the indigenous plants to this region so it can be in its natural state, is really a powerful thing. And this plays right into Weed Out Hate Day, which is coming up on April 3rd, which you can certainly follow on Facebook as well. There's a Weed Out Hate Day. You just click join and go into that and participate in that. And it's about pulling a weed. And as you pull out a weed, you think about pulling out hate. And as you plant seeds, you plant the seeds of peace and love and compassion. And this is all in alignment with what is known as the King Code, which some people also refer to as the God Code or the Divine Code, which is huge for us as humanity and being able to continue enjoying this planet and this earth and what's here. So wanted to just share that little cove area with you and show you how the journey is going. And it's just beautiful and it's amazing. Take care. We'll catch up with you later. And I just wanted to capture one more thing here, and I don't know if I can get it on camera, but right down there in the cove area, you'll notice we got a couple of surfers hanging out down there. And what's really important with that aspect is this also gives us a symbolism and an understanding of how we're supposed to approach this internal process that's going on, how we're supposed to bring about the method for doing, so to say. And I'm sorry, my camera's kind of going everywhere here. But in that method of doing, the surfers are much like the Miwoks. They ride with the flow of what they have in the moment. And that's so important. You can't always change the current or the wave that's going on. But what you can do is you can ride with it. You can learn when it's ebbing and when it's flowing. And when you get into that natural alignment, that's when you get the exciting thing. That's when you get to enjoy the waves of success, as they would say. And that's when you get to appreciate being able to rest in between those. So it's a really powerful, again, we look around and we think, we don't have very much that's telling us or giving us information. And we have tons and tons of information. I mean, if I just look at the hills and what's here and this one little spot from my view, my standing point, not even looking in every direction, I would spend days interpreting all of the signs and the symbols that are here. So it takes quite a while, and that's just the power of it. And signs and symbols are one of the more focused workshops that I do. We obviously discuss that on the adventure days here, but it's also a powerful individual workshop that we do as well, where we delve intently into that. Take care. Now, while we're on our tour, I wanted to capture another thing while we're here, is you can actually see the difference in the shading in the ocean. You see a light spot out there, and you also see the deeper areas that are there. And one of the things that we deal with is shadows and mirrors in our life. And with the shadows and mirrors, it's very interesting because it really is a play of lightness and darkness. And in that process, what we find is really just amazing openings. And we can see that oftentimes we get definitions specifically because of the play of light in our life, or the play of darkness, so to say, in our life. And it are these different things that allow us to see the light to shine brighter in us, and it also, the light is going to shine on our dark areas and illuminate them stronger in a way that we can see them and deal with them and know that they exist. Whereas when there are no shadows, we don't know what's lurking sometimes under there. So also another very powerful aspect of the work that we do on these adventure days, as well as in our individual workshops on our tour. We'll see you soon. So I just found this very cool other little symbolism, and it definitely seems to be a big day of symbolism in the rocks in the cove, which is, this opening, this door, and you can kind of see that rectangular space that's there in the rocks. And what that symbolizes is two factors for us. It symbolizes three factors: as above, so below. So what is above in the spirit realm, we'll also see here on earth. It also symbolizes that a sign of destiny in relation to this, a blankness, a destiny. And so it is our destiny to have that divine assistance. And also it symbolizes gateways, openings, portals to new realms, new lives, new energy. And this is extraordinarily powerful, especially as we combine this with all of the other influences. So we have a big factor happening there in that symbolism. And boy, the earth is really, really speaking to us today. And there's actually a little nook in there that almost looks like a handle on the door. So that doorway, that gateway, is humongously powerful in its energy. And we're going to keep going and come back. There's the little shot of Orly. We just started into a phase of our day, which our day on the Adventures Day are kind of broken up. We focus on self, and then we focus on our connections with others, and then we also do healing for the environment along the way. And what's interesting is in this little space, what we have is we have this area that we've moved into. We're moving towards Pirates Cove area, and there were some birds circling here when we entered. And oftentimes when birds are circling an area, it's a great aspect of messages, and actually I can see them down in that direction, circling around. And as they did that, we came across a whole group of people, just as we started into our connecting with others phases. And we've got also some little poppies that are in bloom here. And I'm going to see if I can come up on those poppies that are coming up right there, which you can see. And poppies are such a great symbolism of relaxation and renewal. And Orly's about ready to get some more friends here. And in combination with that, it just shows that we're going to have a lot of relaxed connections and a lot of great new friendships, and we'll be guided to those people. Hey, this is Jessie and Orly again, catching up with you a little further down the trail. And Orly's right here in my pack, as you can see. She's starting to get a little bit of a ride right now as we've moved along the coastal region. This trail is absolutely great, and it's a great time of year to be doing it because it's not too hot. We've got a little bit of coastal fog here to help us out, which just delves us deeper into the self and deeper into everything that we're experiencing and connecting with. What's really fun, one of the things that came to me that I want to mention is that some additional workshops that we do along the way that are full workshops, but that we also talk about in pieces throughout our adventure day, is that of connecting with divine self, connecting with the divine and universal creator energy, and working with the earth in all of these different components. And a lot of times what we're discussing is we're discussing different aspects that are related to, say, our virtues, and that are related to universal and divine laws in the process. So this is really kind of exciting as we bring these pieces together. We also are looking at, like I said, we're in that position of looking at our connections and our relationships with others, and that is something else that I have broken up into a separate area of, how are we relating to others, and what are the roles that we're taking, masculine, feminine energy, things like this, that we deal with along the way. And nature is a great way to deal with that, because even here we have, for example, fern, which is very feminine, but then we also have some oak shrub, which is very masculine. And how do these two interact, and who dominates along the way, and where do they give and take and share, and things like that. That plays in. Of course, we do aspects of activating compassion, and how is that getting activated in our life, and where is that getting activated. And of course, the environment's a great example to show where we as a human race are doing that or not doing that, and to explore where we're doing that in our own lives. So I just wanted to share some more of those dynamics, because we have so many different components, individual components, that we bring into this day and this weekend. And in this case, we're on a weekend event that address all of these different areas, and we discuss them throughout the day, in the different things that are coming up for us, and the different signs and the symbols that are coming along in the path and the process. we'll catch up with you some more later. Hey everyone, it's Orly and Jesse, and we've gotten quite a bit down this trail, and one of the things we like to keep in mind is in our work and our work of life is that it's not about getting to a particular destination as much as it is the journey, and what do you get going along the way, and what do you learn, and what do you grow and develop along the way. And you know, in this process we actually did hit a little destination point called Pirates Cove, and that's the we're sitting right above Pirates Cove right now, and Pirates Cove reminds us of some other dimensions that we discuss on our adventure days and in our work, and that we do as separate workshops, and that has to do with working with our intuition. It has to do with creating success and management, and pirates are a great symbology of reminding us how to follow our intuition, how to ride with our instincts, and they're a great insight for how to build business without anything, being resourceful, really working with the resources that are around us and available to us, no matter what those are, and learning to be at peace with the cycles and the seasons. Again, we brought that in, also workshops and things that we do, working with the natural turns and curves of the year. So I just wanted to touch base and share those things with you, because we cover so very much information on these days. Take care, and we'll catch up with you later. So, you know, sometimes what we have looks like just kind of jagged cliffs and things like that, and we're a little above the Pirates Cove, a little further up. We've been meeting some people along the way, but what we're getting here is a great symbology of success. It's a runic symbol of success that we're finding here, and just nurturing above that, sitting at the top of the runic symbol, which means that success will be nurtured and developed and grown for us this year, which is really quite a powerful thing as we go along. And of course, we also have some boats out here in the harbor area today, which is really incredible as well. Boats always represent a variety of different things, from work that can be coming our way to leisure and happiness and enjoyment and fun and pleasure and relaxation and various things. So success that may afford us those things, or work that's coming our way, will be successful and then well nourished in this process. So, you know, just to give you an idea, as we branch back along these hillsides, that's some of the trail that we've been walking on out here today, and we're going to keep walking for a little while. You know, unfortunately, that really irks me, the chemtrails in the skies, but they are providing us this nice symbol of gift. Now, you know, we have to kind of watch the runic symbols. We have both gift, we have protection in our chemtrails symbolism that's going through today, so that's a very positive thing, and that's something else that I'll probably send something else up to tap into that grid energy. And instead of that being used for something negative, I'll tap in and send a positive wave of healing love, and especially to some friends of mine who have been going through some challenging times recently, and just sending some heartfelt love out to them with what they've been dealing with and their challenges. So this is another part of communicating with others, is sometimes, you know, we're not in a place to give somebody that hug, or we're not in the place to be with somebody directly, or for whatever reason, maybe even the communication has been damaged in a way that we're not able to, you know, provide. And so as a result of that, sometimes we just have to send it out through the quantum energy fields, and to send it out to them, and that's another aspect. So learning to use our energy. Again, there's just so many dimensions that we deal with in these days, and from all the healing and inside, outside, interconnectedness, the whole amazing dynamics of things. We'll catch up with you a little bit later. Hey everyone, Orly and I are up on top of this beautiful bluff area, and kind of in the background, you can't maybe really see it from here so much, but back off over there, actually, those cliffs that are below us, we actually started at the bottom of those, so we've risen, I don't know, probably a couple of thousand feet in elevation during the day here, and as I was coming up, I was remembering, and as we've been going through the day, you know, I've been trying to cover some of the different components that we discuss in our Adventures of Integration days, and in that process, One of the things that we do is how to lead a spiritual life in an earthly world. That's another one of the segments or pieces that we delve into and discuss throughout the weekend. And in doing that, oftentimes we just don't take that time to stop and to be mindful. And even on the adventure days, a lot of times our breaks come through the meditations that we're doing. People just eat as they feel like along the way, eat and drink as they feel like. And then every now and then we take a moment like this where we stop and are just still for a little bit. And it's so important to do this, whether we're in a city area or a nature area. We want to take that time to stop and be still and really, really look at what's around us. Because it's when we listen, and we listen with all of our senses, that we really start to hear Spirit speaking through us, to us, with us. It's really when we start to become spiritual in our earthly world. So, these days are just amazing to me, and to watch people transform, and they can be very intense on some levels, more so probably on the mental and the emotional levels than even the physical levels, because we kind of take our time, and it's not again about rushing through to a particular destination. It's just seeing where the time takes us and what comes up as we go, and that's different every day that we're out, and every adventure day that we do is like that. And it's shifted, and you can see that it's actually gotten sunny. So you're catching some of the shadows on me as well, that play of light and shadows that we mentioned earlier. And that's also just another great omen of things clearing up in our lives and getting clearer. And this is, I think, also a universal symbol of things. And we've got beautiful play. I'm looking around. We've got beautiful play of monarch butterflies, and the butterflies are flittering around, and we've seen wild strawberries along the way. And so it's really powerful, the volume of information. It definitely takes some time for people to do a little processing after a full day or after a weekend, because there's so much that comes through and comes up for them. And, can I say exactly this is what's going to happen or this is what's going to come up? Not exactly. I can say that everybody I know that's gone through one has experienced amazing transformations and awakenings and experiences. And it doesn't matter what level of their development that they're at, they're getting those things coming to them. And the insights and the lessons that come through, there's just so much that we don't even realize we're just on autopilot with. So when we delve into, as a separate workshop, how to be spiritual or live a spiritual life in an earthly world, it's really about getting off of that autopilot. And then, of course, also about all the programming you heard me mention earlier about the chemtrails and the various programmings that we have in society, and what we're led to believe that we have to get to a certain destination or a certain spot. And it's just not about that. And I delve into that as a separate workshop as well. So there's lots of different things that we do on the adventure day in small pieces that then get expanded to those bigger workshops, because so many people today, that's where a lot of their challenges and their struggles are, is in that programming that they've received along the way. And so I teach people how to break that ethically and get out of some of that aspect along the way. So very powerful. I just wanted to touch base with you because this does just bring in those additional dimensions to things. Take care. We'll see you soon. Hi everyone. So here we are. I see it's a little bit dark and there we go. There's some light. And I just wanted to share we're back above that Pirates Cove area on our way back. And we're going to stop and we're going to do a little work here to channel in the pirate energy. And this is where a lot of the different pieces that we've been talking about overlap. And I can see that Orly's about ready to jump. So if you see the camera move quickly, it's offsetting some of that. But why would I want to call in a pirate energy? Because so many people would look at that, and everything has its pros and its cons to it, right? It all has its distortions and its virtues to it, no matter what it is. And so a lot of people say, well, that's greed energy, and that is energy that's not even Robin Hood, that's just taking for self, as opposed to taking from the rich and giving to the poor, so to say. But with the pirate energy, there's a whole bunch of other aspects, which is independence, adventure, journey, resourcefulness, again, the intuition factors that are there. It's about really embracing life with a spirit of passion and being able to surrender and to let go in a way that you don't have to have these specific destinations. You pay attention, you listen, and you see, where is it going to blow me? Where is it going to stir me to go to? And where am I going to be called? And this happens a lot. So oftentimes when a sign like that comes to us and we wonder, yeah, but I'm not a greedy person and I don't want to embrace greed, for example, because I'm getting a pirate symbol, but there's so many different aspects to the pirate, and some of those aspects are definitely things for us to embrace. So for example, I would be happy to embrace some of the qualities of the pirate energy since I travel full time. Embracing that energy could be very, very powerful for me and very protective for me and serve me very well because of the way it would open up certain levels of intuition, certain levels of instincts that are going on. So when we look at it again, it's not all black and white. It's not all just one little piece. So what I need to do is to call in the aspects and know the aspects of that energy that is mine. Now, being that I've done a lot of clearing work, and of course this combines because the pirate energy is on the ocean, so it's always emotionally related. It is passionately related. There would be different ways I would call it in, or different levels or strengths that I might call it in, let's say, depending on where I was in my soul process. So recently I've cleared out any levels of addiction left in my life. So I have nothing that is controlling me, nothing that takes over my urges and surges and so-called, rawness to that level of it controlling me. And so to call in the pirate energy now allows me to really fully embrace the adventure, to really step into passion, to really open up to what is both reflective and very, very active, and reminding me that I need to take what is mine, not to just take from others and not to take from others, but to make sure that I'm giving myself what I need. And that is another aspect of the pirate, is about giving ourselves what we need. Okay? So it's not always about theft. It's not always about those kinds of pieces. But so many of us, especially healers and spiritual workers and coaches and people like that, are not giving themselves what they need in the process. So we're going to take a little time and we're going to do this, and we're going to catch up with you a little bit later. Bye-bye. So this is Jessie and Early, and we're still working our way back right now. As you can see, we're on this great bridge, and bridges have amazing symbols of filling in gaps, of allowing us to connect different areas, different spaces, different things in our life. And the reason I wanted to grab this little clip right here was because I was just having a conversation with people about the tools in our life and the different resources and that sense that we use. And one of the workshops that I offer also deals in creating mojo bags. And a lot of people say, oh, come on, Jessie, that's like so, old, magical, whatever. And why do we need a mojo bag? Well, mojo bags are really cool. They're one of those things that are kind of like an external reminder of what's happening internally. And actually, when we do that in my workshops, we create from a very intuitive level. Now, we don't actually create a mojo bag on our adventure days, but we definitely look at the value of those different types of tools that are available to us in our life. And there's a lot of them, whether people are using astrology or whether they're using, divination decks or angel cards or whatever it is for them particularly. And, on the bridge, of course, what those tools do is they bridge gaps between our conscious and our unconscious. And that's the purpose of a mojo bag as well, is to bridge a gap between the conscious and the unconscious. Our human self, our ego self, it really likes to have something visible and tangible. But what happens is, just like a lot of things, when we've created a mojo bag, or whether we've created a mojo just simply in our life without items along the way. And we never take anything out of nature, by the way. I'm very big on leave no trace policies. And so, when we do that, it's a huge thing, because in those particular aspects, the mojo is created from the emotion, from the feeling, it's not just this magical hoodoo, voodoo, whatever type of thing. It's created from a place of conscious thought. And that can be a very powerful aspect to delve into. So with the aspect of that kind of level of conscious thought, that's where it comes from. And I wanted to share that with you, because most people would say, how do you work in something like a mojo bag? How do you work in that type of thing in what you're doing here in nature? That doesn't seem like that goes together. They seem like very different things, but it's emotions and feelings. And so when we're on these adventure days, part of the release, part of the clearing, part of the understanding creates its own type of mojo in it. And so looking at those different things, and people can always go back and through their understandings and what's coming to them, go home and create their own mojo bag if they would like to do that from what they're getting. And what it does is they're little reminders, they're little memories, just like a photograph is a memory of a trip, for example, or this video clip is a memory of this day. It serves in the same way. So every time that they come back to that, then what they're doing is remembering those lessons, remembering what happened. And it's a great reference point, especially when we get, say, like another year down the line or something like that, and it comes back and we wonder, what were we doing then? And what were those seeds that we planted? And this gives us a chance to see those. We'll catch up with you later. You're actually getting to take a little journey with me here, because there's not really much behind me, and this is a very narrow little trail, and I don't know if we're going to go all the way out, because, well, Orly's pretty well settled right now in my pack. But, it's actually pretty rare that we have a day where the wind is not horrendous. And I'm going to make sure that actually she stays in the pack while we're out here, because it's really, really steep going down. But it's highly, highly rare that you can get out on these bluff areas without a wind. And this is pretty amazing. It's like there's nothing on any side of you out here. It's just you and this very, very small trail. So it's a real risk, because I'm a person that tends to be afraid of heights out here. But it's just amazing with the fog coming in and the cliffside disappearing and things like that. And sometimes that's what life requires of it. It requires us to be safe, but to also, be willing to face some of those fears, and to be willing to face some of what seems risky and dangerous, and it is. And when we're in those situations, we have to exercise caution. It's, on one hand, just taking it those small steps at a time. And but a rare day. The winds are picking up. We're going to head back up, and we'll catch up with you later. Hey, this is Orly and Jesse. We just are finishing up our day going on the Muir Beach to Tennessee Valley Trail. This is a little bit north of the San Francisco Bay Area, just to the north side, right on the coastal region here. And it's been an amazing day. One of the things, though, that we do like to do, that we'll be doing to finish off the day, is doing our healing for the earth. And a lot of this we express gratitude, and this is a really important way that we close off each day of our adventure days, whether it's a full weekend event like this is on the Equinox, or whether it is a single day event. And it's really important to me to give back to the earth. It's given us a chance to be out in nature. It's given us a chance to explore for the day, to learn, to grow, to develop. And now it's our chance to get back to it. So we're going to send some healing again to those couples, and we're also going to just send some general healing to the coastlines, which have really struggled in recent years, to help them through upcoming fire seasons and various other things. So, we definitely look forward to catching up with you tomorrow and through other journeys at different places that we are in the U.S. And hopefully you'll maybe even be joining us in one of those areas. Take care. See you later. Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Jessie and Orly, and we're hanging out here in another little park called Corte Madera of, again, the San Francisco Bay Area. This is where we've been celebrating the spring equinox for 2015 and doing our Adventures of Integration weekend here, which we do at the turnings of the year. So there's 8 of those every year that we're doing right now. And we're kind of right off the road, so I apologize for the car traffic. But it's kind of quiet out here actually this morning, and we've had some great weather, a little morning fog, which is normal on the coast here. But it's just, there's been so many great symbols and signs, and we've been given those over and over and over again during this weekend, and I expect we'll have quite a bit more that we'll share with you as the day goes on, or we might have little spots of things we'll find to let you share in on or something like that. But, a lot of people, they wonder, why all of these, different areas. We're at an area today called Ring Mountain. You can see there's beautiful spring coloring, lush green here behind me, which is amazing. It's so great to see. And across from me is the Triangle Marsh Wildlife Habitat. And people wonder, why these things, why these areas for hiking. And a lot of these have hikes that are comfortable for people. A lot of times we're not going real fast. I mean, if I get a huge high adventure group, that's awesome, that's great. We'll do something more high adventure if that's their style. But a lot of times what we're doing is we're going a little ways and we're stopping and we're meditating and we're doing all these different pieces to expand our awareness. And as we do this, of course, off in the distance, I'm looking over and we've got these beautiful bridges around the San Francisco Bay Area that is just standard here. But I use these areas because they're so important for us to get connected with. And people forget that we have these amazing wildlife spaces right in our own backyard. They're convenient to the cities. They're close to the cities a lot of times. And they're not used enough. They're not appreciated enough. And these are the areas that need us to come and enjoy them. And they're public lands, and so it's very convenient on a lot of levels. People don't have to pay huge fees to get into them. There are times I use national parks or other things as well, but there's not. It's just a convenient, easy thing for a lot of people to get to usually. And like I said, we're right off of a main road here, so how much more convenient can you get? And yet at the same time, we'll just step a few feet, and within a quarter of a mile, will just be an absolute peace and quiet. So it's very, very easy to do, and a lot of these have enough beauty and vistas that you don't have to worry about being at a certain destination, and I think that that's important as well. That's really a great dynamic to consider when we're on these days, because we don't want to be totally destination focused. I mean, I do have one that has an amazing destination, but it's just one. It's in South Dakota, and that's a great avenue as well. So but even if you don't make it to the total destination on those types of places, it's still amazing. There's just still so much to see along the way. So we're going to get our day started, and we'll catch up with you as we get down the trail. So right off the bat this morning, we're coming across another symbolism of gateway and destiny. And so it tells me, and not only is this gateway, but it's also fertility, which tells me a lot of things are getting ready to flourish, and the doors that I'm walking through are all about flourishing right now, and it's also in alignment with destiny for me. And I love this, how nature just naturally opens this. And then in some of the twigs, I'm seeing also openings and joy and successes coming through. This is where it's so fun to understand some of the symbolism and what's around. And this particular little opening has a great, just a personal thing that it brings back a lot of memories for me of being on my aunt and uncle's farm in the summertime back in Kansas. And this is important too, because it's not always the direct symbolism that is at play, but it's also the emotions and the feelings that we get stirred inside of us that triggers the other memories that then also have messages for us. So I can tell this is going to be a powerful, powerful day, just with the first connection that we made along the way coming up, and starting right off with this symbolism, as well as having just crossed this very cool little bridge right here. And I know I've mentioned how I love bridges because they're just such transferring energy coming along. So we will catch up with you a little later. You can see there's Orly down there, and she's getting her own little signs and symbols. She's got the birds talking with her this morning here at Ring Mountain Preserve, and you know, they're sitting up here kind of taunting her on the post there, and you know, seeing what they can come up with. But she's right here, and she's also ready to start her day. She's finding this kind of interesting, and they're not sure what to make of a cat out here, because this is a little bit different from their normal environment and way of doing things. But we're going to get going, and we'll talk with you soon. And one thing I have to say is Orly is really, really bringing out the birds here today, because they're not used to having a cat in their environment. And what we're finding is there's actually some really cool blue-colored birds. And birds are a natural messenger. A lot of people identify that and connect that. But let's say we look at the bluebird that are around here flying, and it's so much more than that, because we're looking at the colorings of the birds, how those are relating to us. We're looking at the directions the birds are flying to and from in our path around here. And there's actually several different types of birds here, so it's going to be very interesting why we're getting so many messages and what those are relating to in this process here. But you know, as we connect some of these pieces, for example, it's going to give us information about how it connects. For example, a bluebird will connect to the throat chakra, and how that energy is playing into things that are happening, and that perhaps we need to speak our voice more. We need to reach a wider audience. We need to go, for example, one bird was flying from west to east, which means we need to communicate less from an emotional standpoint and more from a logical standpoint. We had another one that was flying from the north to the south, which is letting us know that it's bringing messages of winter thawing out, and it's bringing messages that indeed we're moving into more passion from our life. We're going from the internal to the external, and that's really interesting, because that's a validation of what we're working on today. You know, our first day is oftentimes a very internal process, even though we're dealing with how we communicate with other people and other things as well. Whereas the second day of our adventure weekends are dealing more with the external processes. And so it's very interesting to do that, which is why we pick an area that has a little more connection in some ways with people, or we might cross more people, because it's oftentimes easy to get into that internal personal space when we're very quiet and when we're in quiet, isolated spaces. But to get into those spaces and to connect with self when we're in this outer world that does have the distractions, our everyday life and things like that, it becomes a whole different story. We'll catch up with you soon. So Orly's getting to have a little more kitty experience today here. She's there she goes, turns her face around even for us. And you know, I gave her a little more lead in her leash to just kind of go and be on the rock, and she's kind of letting other animals know she's around. And she says, yeah, maybe we'll just take a little meditation time, which is great when we find these little openings and these little spots. And cats are so amazing at detecting what's a peaceful spot, what's an okay spot to stop and rest at. Having been in the wild before for a short period of time on her own, you know, they really have to operate by that intuition, and that's a great lesson for us when we really stop and listen to the earth, when we really stop and listen to what it's sharing, what it feels, what its vibration is, and we really tune into that, we can do so much. So this kind of gives her, with a little extra lead, some room to go on. And I are sitting up on a ridge right now on our trail, and you're probably thinking, wow, that's not a very rural trail when you're looking down on all these buildings. Again, it just kind of is a point of where we can see these, and it is a point of part of the second day of this particular event is starting to blend our internal with the external energies. And this is a school right below us, which is why I've got the video camera focused on this. And it's obviously a school that's taking a new direction for our planet, and it explains why there's a very peaceful energy even amongst the buildings that are with us. And this is something great for us to learn from, because you'll find solar panels. And, I have my pros and cons about solar panels. It's like everything. It has its pros and its cons about it. But what it tells me even more than that is it reminds us a couple of things. There's oftentimes things that we can't see until we get to a different perspective. And looking at things from a different perspective is a big part of what we do. And you'll find here they have a garden growing rooftop. And this is something that I anticipate us seeing a lot more of. This is part of sustainable buildings, sustainable movements that are happening in culture and society. And I'm very excited about this, because this is starting to blend our natural resources, the natural environment, which we so desperately need as much as we need food and air and water and everything else in our lives on a daily basis. We need nature in our lives on a daily basis. So this is a very exciting thing to see happening, and to see this developing, because to see this type of thing brings nature into our homes, into our everyday lives. And it's definitely something for us to think about. What is going to make us sustainable internally, externally, in our relationships with other people? Sustainable is a form of balance. It doesn't mean that we have to do without everything, but it also shows that we're working in harmony with the environment, in harmony with the resources that we have. So how exciting to get up a little bit, because I didn't even know when we started that this whole little resource was here and available. So very cool. And there again, we've got these beautiful bay views, and we have actually a bunch of little birdies out here that are just running along the marsh reserve that's across the way there. And it's just really fun to watch them run in this whole line of things. And then of course we've got these amazing bridges that are out there that just span these huge distances between the different little inlets and outlets and coves and things. That's just part of what the San Francisco Bay Area has. It's just amazing in some of its environment and things that it's sharing with us. We'll catch up with you later. And I found this little patch of great flowers that are coming up. They're kind of like an iris in a way. And what's really fun is what's blooming in spring. And what we see in spring is a result of the seeds that we planted in autumn, in the autumn equinox time frame 6 months ago. So always think about what's coming around at this time of year is something that we want to take a look at and see, as far as what were the seeds that we were planting back then. And what's always exciting to me with the flowers that are coming up in spring, I mean, we're used to that being kind of a spring thing, but what's coming up in spring is hardy. It's something that is able to survive the year around, and it's something that is those seeds that really have surviving potential in our life. There's something that we can build something solid on. So take that time right now. This is part of delving into the cycles and the seasons and these aspects that we have. And take a look and think back. What were your thoughts 6 months ago? What were the seeds you were planting? I know part of what I was planting was being on the road full time. And it wasn't just a seed, that's when I started being on the road full time. And here we are 6 months later, and it's so peaceful, and it's amazing what's opening, the spaces that we're being provided to be in. Just incredible as I see this blossom in the spring, those seeds that started last fall, and seeing them blossom and what's happening now. So take a time to think back on that and pause for a moment and go, yeah, what was I thinking? What was I starting? What was I working on? What were those seeds that I planted last fall? And watch them grow, nurture them, and you're sure to get your harvest too. I entered this little kind of foresty-like area, which is really cool, being that this is very open space. And we got a whole bunch of fern right here, which is interesting. And there's a little creek that runs, well, we can't see it from here, but it runs just down over there, past those bushes. And what's really fun when we get this energy that comes across is, this is part of reading energy. And the fern energy, especially near a creek, has a very magical energy. So it reminds us to be in the world with awe, with with awe, with inspiration, with fun, with play, with amazement in the world. And this is a really powerful thing. So, even some of these very subtle spaces, and of course there's various little openings there in the tree that bring in the feminine energy, and here again the fern brings a balance of energy to the oak that is in the area here. As we go forward, we're getting ready to go up a whole flight of stairs, and of course stairs is an energy of ascension. So ascending into our magical energy, ascending into the space of belief and wonder, and having that spark with life is such an important reminder, because so many of us get into these monotonous spaces, and so many of us get into these spaces that are dark, and we get too deep, and we forget that part of being spiritual is to play, it's to have fun, it's to roam with magical eyes. And the magical eyes are spirit's eyes. They're spirit's way of looking at life. So take that time to do it. And again, this is our balancing of energy. And sometimes we have a lot of stairs to climb. And as we're going upstairs in life, one of the things that we want to consider is to, sometimes they're going to be steep, sometimes they're going to be treacherous, sometimes they're going to be hard, sometimes they're going to be beautiful. But we take them one step at a time. Very rarely can we do 3 or 4 steps at a time. Maybe if you have really long legs and they're really short steps and really, small depth and everything like that. But for most of us, it's about taking it one step, one stair at a time. And as we do this, we can pace ourselves and we can get there in a very good, timely manner of things. And we can involve ourselves. Sorry about that. I had a little Orly distraction there for a minute. And we can really open some amazing things. And as we rise, we allow ourselves to, it's kind of like putting the work in, ahead of time. And then we get to relax and enjoy the downhill walk, which is not a downhill in the sense of declining or diminishing, but it's in the sense of enjoyment after an effort, after hitting a peak. And these are parts of the natural cycles and flows of our life and our earth. And we hit peaks, and then we need to come down, and then we'll climb again. And these are just natural, no matter how evolved we are. We'll see you soon. In Orly, and Orly's just right down here. You can't even see her right now because she is completely tucked away. We keep a little emergency preparedness for things like this. We got up towards the top of this little area, and where we're hiking, and it started to rain on us, which was not in the forecast. Most people were not prepared. They've turned around and kind of gone back, and that's why you see my hood and not my hair right now on this aspect. And certainly with groups, we always are going to check with people and see where they're at. We don't want anybody running into any issues because of this. But the interesting thing about this rain is sometimes this happens in an area with heavy fog where, you know, it will be clear in one area, dry in one area, raining in another area. Down low it might be dry. Up high, like we are now, you might get a little rain. And so, you know, we have this beautiful view, and I am going to shoot some of that in a minute here. But now it's kind of stopped. On my way up, right before this rain started on us, what I had was this thought. I was walking through, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much like an English countryside up here. The vibration is like that. And some of the people that we met that are locals around here also have that type of accent in their speaking. So it was really, really interesting. And then it started raining. I'm like, yep, that's English countryside vibration and energy here. So we're kind of chilling out here for a little bit, and truly amazing what we're getting. Like I said, we kind of got some winds and dried down, and you know, Orly's not a big wind person, and she doesn't exactly like being wet, so she's hanging in the pouch right now, staying warm and dry, and and working with that. But even from the top, we have this amazing thing, and I'm going to flip my screen around so you can see, and you can see some of these amazing views that are here, and catch all these different areas. And the bridge is just right off there. And this is such a great parallel in our life, because oftentimes things start off one way, they turn a different direction, and ordinarily we could sit there and be going, gosh darn it, it's raining on my day off when I've got this hike going, and we could get all angry about it. But life, and this has been very frequent in the last 3 to 5 years in particular, where we've gotten thrown some unexpected surprises along the way, and what most people would consider unfavorable. However, when we really get down to it, it's just an opportunity to understand that much more. And the fog is a lot of times like those spaces in our brain and our thinking where we're not seeing clearly. You know, we're not able to see it, we're not able to have it. And there's times that things need to be nourished and flourished in our life. And maybe we're not ready for the rain that those things need, but they're going to come anyways because it's time for them to happen in our lives. And that creates a whole new level of understanding. And even though the fog is there and it created this little piece of rain, so to say, and we could hike for hours and hours, it looks like, up here along the coastal lines, and the bridges are out there. You know, really, it just reinforces us. We've got to stop and work, and we've got to make decisions in the process. And when we get tossed these curveballs along the way, you know, are we going to let them defeat us, or are we going to say, yeah, you know, maybe this is a little inconvenient for me right now, but it's exactly what needs to happen in my life, because it's going to get me to that bigger, more wonderful space, or whatever, that space that I've been working so hard climbing this huge hill for. You know, I think we've come up like 2,000 feet or something like that. It's maybe not 2,000 feet, but maybe a good 1,000 anyways, coming up to this hilltop where we're at now. Our car's way down below there, and it's amazing. And it reminds us too that it's important. Let's just stop and let's look at the views, and what do we have to work with, and is this what we want, and what is our decisions? Is it time for us to turn around and go back, or is it time for us to explore a little bit more, and is it time for us to keep going on this journey for where we want to be? And this is part of why we want to let go of those attachments and not be so determined on a destination. Because sometimes there might be something else really great for us to explore that we need to be doing, and unless our time got cut short or we didn't make it to that destination, maybe we wouldn't find that other bigger, greater thing that's happening. So, you know, I'm going to contemplate this a little bit up here, and we're going to make some decisions about what we're going to do, and ride from there. And it may be that we need to turn around and head out for the day, kind of gathering. And this is where, when we stop and take a pause and we look at what's happening around us, what is the weather, whether that's emotional weather, mental weather, physical weather, whatever it is, what is it telling us? Is it telling us that this is what we're in for all day long? Or is it telling us, this is just a little coastal stuff, and, you know, it's going to go away, it's going to clear here soon, because there is some sun and some spots just off to the west there, I see. So it's all a little piece, and maybe we do a little of this and a little of that. But it's when we get dealt those crazy challenges, so-called, along the way, really the question is, how are you going to deal with them? It's not the fact that you got them, but when we get this, it's kind of like those little markers to see if we're ready for the next step. Because if we can handle some little challenge like this, then we can certainly handle something bigger, or we can handle the next phase of what we're headed into that we believe that we want, for example. So lots of different pieces, and I'm going to leave you with that, and we'll catch you later on. This is Jessie and Orly, and we're gradually working our way back down here, and we have this amazing tree energy that we stopped, and we have a little break from the rain, so we're going to just let the energy take care of itself here. And enjoy this little spot for a minute. It's kind of like being in a forest. And although I didn't capture it on our way back down, we ran into Pooh Bear, for those that remember, which is basically in reality form, that is a little boy that we ran across that is playing Pooh today, and he was in his forest today and traveling with his family, so that was very fun, blowing bubbles, magical bubbles around. And most people know right there, how can you not get the symbolism of children and fun and play and owning who you are and all of these different pieces. And it looks like I have a little something on my lens there, and I'm sorry, I was gonna see if we can clear that up. There we go. And so anyways, we're in this little spot, which is just amazing, and it's magical. And you hear me talk about the signs and the symbols a lot, but one of the things that you don't hear me talk about, or maybe haven't a lot, I don't know, is that factor of being aware, really being aware. And we hear this aspect of just be still, just be, in the moment, just be peaceful, things like this. And but oftentimes we're not totally conscious of what's around us. So let's say we're walking down the path like we were here, and in this path there's a lot of rocks that have like jade or jadeite in them that I'm seeing around here, different green-centered things, which tells me that not only is there a lot of heart energy, but there's a lot of abundance energy. So when we're seeing these things, it's not just messages to us, but it's an awareness to realize, what are you actually in? Are you really conscious of what's around you? Are you really conscious of the energy that you're attracting, that you're drawing? Rain, of course, is great renewal, and being in a spot where there's rain and a lot of jade and jadeite, it's a renewal of money and resources. And that's a powerful sign, because when we started out, I said, wow, this is what I want to focus on today. I want to focus on resources and divine resources to, develop this workup and to be able to do and focus more on fundraising events and other things like that. And so this was an exciting piece to have this come around today. It's just a huge affirmation with all the other symbols that we're getting. But that consciousness of realizing that I'm not just walking a trail, but I'm walking among abundance. I'm walking among money. I'm walking among success. And to really tune into that energy and really be aware of it and really feel it all the way through my body, and be excited. Be excited that things are renewing. Be excited that they're coming my way. And not in an egotistical form, but in the enthusiasm of a child that has the magic of blowing bubbles in the rain, making rainbows with the rain. And so many parallels in that. So I just wanted to stop and share you that little component with you, and we'll catch up with you a little later. And Orly and Jessie again, and as you can see, we've come a little ways down, and obviously with my hood being down, you can realize it's not doing any kind of heavy raining like it was for a while. And it's been interesting as we've worked our way back down the path a bit, and I started to re-look at the signs and the symbols and things that we saw going up, and it brought up a point that I wanted to say. And that is an aspect of when we're dealing with the masculine and the feminine energy, and this is something I talk about in regards to relationships that we deal with in life, but it's also that balance of energy within ourselves. And in dealing with that, it's important because we look at these signs and these symbols, and all this information is coming at us at this tremendous rate constantly. So unless we take the time to rest, and we take the time to sleep, and we take the time to be still and to pause and to meditate and things like this, we're on such a masculine energy overload that our feminine becomes out of balance. And one of the things that I brought up to people in the past is when our feminine energy is out of balance, so is going to be our finances, so is going to be our home environment. All those things are going to start to get turbulent, our work environment. That's when all kinds of aspects in our life are going to be affected. So I wanted to stop and bring that up because it was such a big point that was coming through, and a big dynamic in relation to the masculine and the feminine energy. And then just also bringing up, these different little aspects too here. So take care. So here's Orly. We're working our way down through. She's hanging out with us, and she's actually taking the lead now. But I wanted to bring up a point because, while we were out here and it started raining, and she's not really a big rain kitty, but I wanted to bring up this aspect with her that she's showing us something really important and something that's really exciting as far as her healing process is going right now. Because when she had all of her teeth pulled, one of the things they did, obviously, was to put her on painkillers for a while. And the painkillers made her very unstable. It made her lose some of her sense of balance, her ability to move around comfortably and securely. And so being out here today, she's now chosen to walk some of this path going back in the rain with us. And this is such a great teaching and learning experience for us because we have to get back out there. Sometimes something comes along and it shakes us, and it makes us afraid to do things. It makes us afraid to try things that we once were very, very comfortable with. This happens a lot with people as they're aging, and I'm trying to keep my footing because I've had a couple of slips coming back down because of the rain and the terrain here. And so this has been a great experience for her because today she's had the opportunity to start to realize she can handle and maneuver these little pieces where the footing isn't always completely secure. And so she's building a lot of confidence back today, and I'm so happy to see this with her. And I hope you'll also take this to heart as a lesson for all of us, because our fears come from some little thing that, maybe we had to go through in our life, and that little thing just shook us up. And sometimes we've remembered it and we've held it strong in our programming, and then sometimes it is something that we've forgotten about and we don't realize, and then we just don't remember where that fear came from. And I've seen that happen with people as they're blocking information or traumatic experiences out in their life. So just wanted to share that. And as you can see, she's doing pretty good, and every step she takes builds more confidence. And I'm going to put this away so I can get down safely as well. Take care. Okay, so this is so exciting, something I didn't expect to find right here on this trail, and it's a deer. And deer is one of my totem animals that has always been, and I ran into a big challenge several years ago, and I stopped having encounters with deer. And this is highly unusual. Not only is there a deer here, but it is on its own, and that's uncommon as well. So I'm getting to enjoy this incredible reemergence in the last few months. Back in the fall when we were in Idlewild, I had a deer show up while I was visiting somebody there, and here we go with it showing up here again. So this is so exciting of my own personal affirmations, and these are the things that, when they come to us, it's like we just know the amazing blessings that are headed our way. You find that one is not alone right now. There are a couple of more here with it, and that gives us a total of 3 that I'm seeing that have come through here. So very, very exciting. That's another aspect, why 3 deer, and the return of 3. And oftentimes this happens to us. If we lose something, if something happens, it will return back. The energy that we put out returns back in a series of 3s and 10s. So it also, besides just all the personal affirmations, gives me an insight that this is energy that's returning to me very specifically. Magical energy perhaps, or healing energy that I haven't had for a while or hasn't been active for a while. To bring you a little closing video here for today on things. We come full circle back around, and one of the things that I like to do towards the end of the day is always close in some sort of, well, some people might call it ceremony or something like that, but just an honoring, just a way to really complete the energy is what it does. And so, I have multiple ways that I do that, from labyrinth walking on trails to just gathering and sharing and different things like that we do to just culminate the weekend and the days together. And it's really been amazing. It's really been a journey today. Even with the rain, it's been amazing today. And it just reminds us, sometimes the storms are going to come up on us, and we just have to decide what we're going to do with those storms. And it's fun, but we're very excited. We do have some more adventure days coming up. Well, we're headed now to Portland, Oregon, which is where we'll be the next 2 weekends, and out into Leavenworth, Washington, and then headed to Denver, Colorado, and Illinois, and the Black Hills of South Dakota. We're doing Harney Peak again this year, and all these things. So certainly I hope you'll get a chance to come and join us on one of these amazing days that are just incredible. They're just, it's life-changing is all I can say. And I look forward to seeing you on one of them. Take care. Bye-bye.